Hi, I'm Luka Ivanovic, a first year medical student, and welcome to episode 11 of Lean and Aggressive. This is everything I learned about health this week, the good, the bad, and the ugly. From everything that didn't work, everything that was working quite well for me this week, what I've learned from some research that I've done, and what I'm doing moving forward. And yes, I have earplugs in because I live on a floor with a res floor with 14 other guys, and it does get quite noisy, loud, and rambunctious, to say the least. So, what I mean by fry your brain and replace the oil is previously I was of the opinion that dopamine detox, all this stuff, your brain just sees dopamine as as a quantity. Stimulation is all that it gets. How much stimulation does your brain get? When we compare reading a book to scrolling on Instagram Reels, we get a lot more stimulation from the phone, from the Instagram algorithm than we do from reading a book. Hence why we find it a lot more enjoyable, a lot easier, and we find ourselves a lot more likely to go and scroll on social media than we would find ourselves reading a book or doing some research or reading something or watching a longer documentary, something a lot less stimulating. There's a lot more stimulation from these algorithms. There's a lot more stimulation from a Big Mac than there is from, I don't know, some bland bread with some butter on it. There's a lot more stimulation from a milkshake than there is a glass of water. A lot more stimulation from an enjoyable conversation with someone who, I don't know, replenishes your energy and your battery than there is talking to someone who's boring and just talks about themselves all day. So our brain just, it doesn't necessarily, have favorites here. It doesn't necessarily like this person more than that person, or this food more than that food, or that drink more than the other. But it likes the stimulation that, you know, it gets. So the more stimulating some, it's all just stimulation. It's just the sum of stimulation. So when we try and go on a dopamine detox and we cut out all these different things out of our lives, we're really just reducing our stimulation intake, the amount of stimulation coming in. But the problem is that if we have an axis, what is it, an x and a y axis, and we're usually operating up here because we're on social media, we're eating out every weekend or every Friday night because hey, we deserve a treat. We're, I don't know, uh, online, we're eating whatever we kind of feel like on the weekends, we're doing X, Y, and Z. Our stimulation's up here. But now when we go and we cut out social media and we start reading books and we start eating healthy and we clean up our diet and we do this and that and we stop going out to nightclubs and stop listening to music and whatnot, we drastically cut out stimulation down here when it used to be up there. So this day and night contrast causes our brain to rebel. And you've probably heard all this junk before. But what I'm getting at with this is that stimulation is stimulation. Our brain doesn't have favorites. The same goes for, music and dopamine. So what I was trying to say is that if we really want to try and kind of fix our dopamine, what the meta is, if you don't know what meta is, it's just like what the what the game plan should be is we really want to get our brain hooked on music, because we can still get dopamine and stimulation from music, not as much as Instagram Reels or, I don't know, video games, for example, but we can still get enough stimulation from it. And then you have different kinds of music which tend to be more stimulating. Classical is less stimulating than rap, for example, hip hop. So I give you permission to go and listen to as much hip hop music as you want. And we use that as a substitute to uh, our usual stimulation from, the web. And then once you get hooked to this dopamine from music, just this outlet or this means of stimulation, then you can replace that with then audiobooks. So first we're replacing all social media with music, and then we replace that stimulation music with audiobooks. So we're just moving down in steps instead of just a gradual, like snakes and ladders, instead of just catching one snake and just going all the way down. And then that led me to think, in the previous episode, I was talking about something I call the flavor phenomenon. I made that up. Don't even know what phenomenon means or how to spell it. But basically, there's only so many taste flavors that our taste buds can comprehend. There's like salt, there's umami, glutamate, amino acid. That's like the same kind of vibe. There's sour, there's sweet, and there's bitter, right? So then how does food taste good? And I was making the argument that it's not all in the flavor, it's more so in the textures and the different things and different way you cook the meat and this effect, and then the sorbet and the texture is different to yogurt. Like, it's just different textures which make food so cool and yummy and tasty, but it's not so much like the ingredients and the different flavors, because there's only so much. So then, if that's the case, which I'm hoping it is, or I don't even have anything to back why it is, but whatever. If there's only like 5 flavors, when we eat our food, when we're trying to lose weight, for example, flavor isn't the issue. When we are craving, it's like, look, it's all just stimulation, right? It's all just flavor. It's all the same thing. It's just how much are you getting and how are you hitting it. When you crave something sweet at the end of the day, you don't need ice cream. You don't need frozen yogurt. You don't need flapjacks and syrup and whatever. What you need is you just need some hit of sweetness. That's all your body's saying. Like, yo, it's the end of the day. I work kind of hard. That workout was kind of sweaty. I need a little something sweet, you know what I mean? You don't need to eat jelly babies. Fruit is sweet enough. Grapes are sweet enough. Strawberries are sweet enough. Every single night for the last couple of weeks, I've been eating strawberries, frozen strawberries. It literally tastes like candy. Out of the communal freezer, don't tell anyone. I've been eating some frozen blueberries. They just keep coming back. And this person just doesn't, they don't realize their blueberries are going down, you know, every Friday night. Sorry, Jack. But it's like salt and glutamate. Salt and glutamate. That's all the kind of satisfaction hit you need from your food. That's all you can really get. That's all that flavor really is. It's just salt and glutamate. So I haven't been to, like, one day this past week, I ate my dinner, my post-workout meal, and I was bloated. That's generally what I want from my food. I don't want to be hungry. I want to get full. And I was full, and I had this bloat, and I just sit back and I was like, yeah, that was a good meal. But I didn't have this crazy satisfaction from it. There just wasn't enough salt and there wasn't enough glutamate. And this evening, for example, I wasn't as full, but I put heaps of salt and glutamate on my pasta. Delicious. And then I mixed the pasta with some mince. Beef mince, beef in general, high in glutamate, more glutamate. Then I added yogurt to it, and I made it like a nice creamy penne pasta beef thing, whatever. Dairy again has glutamate. The amount of glutamate in that meal, from the MSG, from the beef, from the dairy, is insane. The amount of satisfaction from that meal is insane. Your brain isn't this complicated. It's not that complicated. Food isn't that complicated. This equation of eating this and that, satisfaction, whatever, feeling good, is not that complicated. Sweetness is the same thing. It's just how much sweetness are we getting. Stimulation is the same thing. It's just how much stimulation are we getting. And it's all just a matter of substitution at the end of the day, or simply realizing that it's not special. It's not the cake that you're craving. It's more so just some either texture or either, some degree of like sweetness, because there's only like 5 taste buds, and you're definitely 5 flavors that your taste buds can taste. And it's definitely not craving bitter, because that's unhealthy and dangerous. It's not really craving sour, because that's not that cool. So it's essentially just salt, sweet, and umami. And if you're hitting that every single day on a day-to-day basis, like, you literally win. Potatoes are also high in glutamate, and people love potatoes. Tomato, high in glutamate. That's why pizza's so good. Tomato and cheese, and like usually ham or pepperoni and stuff, which also has glutamate. So it's like, of course, these foods are good. All these comfort foods like mashed potatoes high in glutamate, meat and potatoes high in glutamate. Um, Once you realize this, it's just like, oh, that's the variable to my equation. The sweet, it's literally just hammering sweet, salty, and umami every single day. You know what I'm saying? And then with like being hungry, if you drink some water before your meal and then you eat this big salad bowl of salad with a smaller fork, not a like a little tea time fork, but like it's the big fork, but like not as big as the big fork, so you have more bites. You drink water, you eat that big salad, you're already kind of full, and then you eat all this umami salty food. It's like, whoa, this is amazing. This is literally the best thing ever. That is how you hit your satisfaction uh critical points on the head. That is how you actually find fulfillment and enjoyment in your food. That is how you actually stick to your diet. That is how you actually keep going at it for long enough, right? And because think about it like this: flour and water, those two ingredients make up so many different foods, whether it be pasta or it be sourdough bread or it be bao buns or it be ramen noodles or it be pizza base or it be whatever. It's literally, or wheat meal, fufu, is just flour and water. But like flour is such a basic food, right? Like humans have been eating flour, like Romans just eat bread, civilizations have been built on just bread or like simple starches like potatoes and whatnot, and certain grains like barley and oats. But these are all just very simple grains, but they can be, I'm using flour as an example because it's probably the best example. It can be used and transformed into so much. It's like your body just craves this general carbohydrate, which flour is, and then the way you get it is just all these different varieties in texture. You can have the pasta, you can have the crunchy sourdough, you can have the pizza base, you can have the focaccia, you can have all these different things, and you're just taking the same thing, but you're doing it in so many different ways. That's how you do it long term, right? It's like your body just needs the flour, it just needs the carbs, it just needs some starch so you can survive, right? That's like a basic kind of like necessity food, right? Like, how can humans have eaten that for so many years, for generations, without like just dying from boredom? It's because they've done so much with it. And it's like we only have three taste buds, we can do so much with it, or three real flavors, we can do so much with it. Um, so yeah, how's that for a change? How's that for an opinion? Then last week Sunday, Sunday night, it was my buddy's birthday on Saturday. He got a bunch of cakes on the weekend. On Sunday night, on the kitchen table, boom, four cakes out on display. Not display to say, rather say your grace and stuff your face and grab a plate and say cheese. Because he had his cakes out on the table and we all ate some birthday cake and it was amazing, it was delicious. And I probably had about 500 to 700 calories worth of cake on Sunday night, which many people would consider, yo, that's a binge, that's a crash, that's a burn, that's a whatever. And I didn't actually care that much because, firstly, the cake was delicious. Secondly, we were all eating it. And in the moment, it was like euphoria. There was just so much dopamine. There was like his girlfriend made some, or then girlfriend, you know, a lot can change in a week. Um, Peppermint crisp tart, this other nice chocolate cake with the caramel, and then this other classic sponge vanilla cake, but it's sweet and it's yummy. There was just so much dopamine and so much different variety of sweetness, and it was amazing. And I liked it, and we ate cake all together. It was nice, wholesome. It fit my calories. I was already in a bit of a like a dent. I was in a bigger deficit that a week. Uh, it fit my calories essentially, is what I'm trying to say. It's not that big of a deal. And it was yummy, it was good, and no big deal. You know, you move on. I didn't feel too bad after either. And then the following week, this past week, I felt pretty good. On Monday, I felt amazing. I'll get into that. On Monday, I felt like the best I've ever felt in a really long time. I'm not giving credit to the cake, but hey, you know, maybe he was a benefactor to something. Um, I haven't, like, usually I would binge eat like frozen fruit at night because I'm just craving something sweet. I didn't have any of that this past week. I didn't really need it. There was again cake on the table there, like a whole cake, and every time I'd walk past something, a slice would be just like taken away from it. It was kind of like the phases of the moon. Like every night, the moon is kind of just going away. That's how the cake was in the span of an hour or two. I didn't have any strong craving or desire for the cake on the table there. It looked good, looked yummy, but I already had cake on Sunday. It wasn't out of like guilt, like either, like, oh no, I had cake on the weekend. I don't want to eat this now. It just was like, no, I'm good. Like, kind of had cake. The other cake was probably better. This one's alright, but I don't really want it right now. So I wasn't kind of as magnetically attracted to all this sweet stuff as much. Uh, Cravings weren't bad at all. I felt fine. It fit my calories. Like the cake was yummy. It was amazing. So these cravings, balancing our cravings, or like basically sweet treats. What am I doing next week Friday? I'm going to a place called Chateau Gateau. Chateau Gateau. I don't know, bro. It's a cake shop with a fancy French name, and they sell cake. I'm going with my clinical group, and we're gonna eat some cake. Nothing crazy, but probably like a slice of cake. And I don't know how many calories it is because who the heck has a nutritional label on a box of cake? But it's about 500 to 700 calories, I'm assuming. I will account for that and calculate that in my weekly cals. We're gonna be good, but I don't like. I think a sweet treat every now and then isn't really bad at all, right? Because if I look at this past week, it's kind of like I know how it tastes. If because before I was very strict on my diet in terms of elimination diet and that kind of stuff, trying to improve skin and whatnot. If I had seen that, if I hadn't had the cake on Sunday night, I definitely would have had that cake on the kitchen counter because I've just been like without this sweet stuff. Like, okay, let's be real. There's a difference between a strawberry and an actual cake. But like when you have the strawberries every night, it's just like a good enough hit of sweetness that you can kind of keep going. But like every couple of weeks or month or so, you're eventually gonna have to have some cake, right? Because that's the real stuff. So rather, instead of just like randomly, sporadically just crash and burning and eating, stuff like normal stuff like a cake every now and then, but like now you want to control when you have that slip up, when you have that dirty meal, when you have that cheat meal, that little sweet treat. So I am going to control what I can control. This Friday, I'm going to eat that cake. So I'm essentially just controlling when I kind of cheat on my diet, for example, instead of I'm controlling like my mess ups instead of just like binge eating on a night after a night out or something, and then eating like 1,500 calories. When this way I can eat like 500, 600, 700 or so calories, um, like once off, feel good about it, fits my calories, move on, have something nice again in 2 weeks' time. So it's like this is just a far more manageable and sustainable over the long run. So cake might not actually be that bad. And then also I go back home for the holidays in about 4 weeks' time. I've been writing down things that I want. Like, for example, I've been craving Turkish food, Middle Turkish food essentially, like a nice pide or some nice and then like the dessert. What's the dessert like? Kofta, something like that. It's like some cheesy kind of dessert. looks pretty good, sounds pretty good. So like that's what I'm craving. That's kind of what I want, something like that. I'm not gonna go make, you know, kebab or something. I can't really make it as good. So I'm gonna go to a restaurant and eat that. Hopefully before the holiday. Um, that's something that I will plan and account for. And it's just like these things, like you need to be attune with your body and listen to it and not just keep dismissing these things because eventually it's going to spill out. And then you're going to eat a bunch of kebab one day when you go to Turkey and you're going to be like, oh my days, why did I eat 10,000 calories worth of kebab? Because your body was giving you signs, but you weren't listening, huh? You know, the cake and the sweet stuff, your body's giving you signs, but you kept dismissing it. And then now, poof, you ate the entire cake on Christmas morning. And now it's awkward because the cake your mom made for lunch that day, boom, there's no cake. So then you're like, oh, why did I do that? I'm such a fat ass. But it's like, bruh, you just weren't listening, huh? You weren't listening. So listen and control these things. I've been craving like the Turkish food. I'm gonna go to a Turkish restaurant. It's not that complicated, and I'm very privileged to, or fortunate enough to be able to do these things, which I'm acknowledging. But the majority of us are. So the majority of us must, or I recommend. I think it's beneficial to just, try it out. Then also, what I added this past week, updated in my diet, was uh, eating less protein, and I was very, very low fat, so I guess increased my fat, but this is still considered pretty low fat diet. So I've been eating less protein, less fat, and just more carbohydrates, and that's been incredible this week. Not even gonna lie, it's been amazing. So I've been eating about 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I do kilograms, I don't know how much pounds are, so I just Googled it. And then 0.2, I think it's like, I have no idea what the conversion is, sorry, just Google it. It's a bit inconvenient, but whatever. 0.75 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Typically, people say a gram. I was doing 0.8 before, 0.75 now. I feel pretty good on that. 0.25 grams of fat per pound of body weight. That's on the lower end. Most people recommend 0.3, 0.35. I'm doing 0.25. And I just fed up the rest of my calories with carbohydrates. Very, very good. My gym sessions this past week were very, very good. I've been enjoying them, feeling good. The jump rope, the cardio afterwards, been feeling good. Today's session was very good. I felt in control. I felt like it was a good workout, good session, and everything kind of flowing, like the gears are falling into place. And yeah, I really did enjoy that this past week. So I'm definitely going to be doing that moving forward, and next week and the weeks to come. A bit less protein, a bit less fat, and fill the rest up with carbohydrates. What I'm going to be doing next or this coming week though, because on Friday I'm going to be having that cake. I want to try this. It's like a cheesecake, but a red velvet cheesecake. Because yeah, you know how like the red velvet has like the cream cheese and the cheesecake has the cheese. It's like some synergy between the two, and it's going to be dope. Hopefully, I don't know. But it's like, where do you fill the cows in then? Or like something has to go, right? So what I typically do is I'm just gonna go a bit less fat this week then. So like throughout the week, I'll just be eating some leaner protein like chicken breast instead of ground beef because it has less fat, it's just less cows. I'll keep my carbohydrates the same because I don't want that to go. I want my energy throughout my workouts, and I'll just have a bit less fat, and that should be fine. No big deal. Easy as you like. Then this past week, I also did some research on keratosis pilaris and facial erythema. Facial erythema is essentially just redness in the face, and it just blows my mind how there's such little knowledge on what like causes these things, on the progression of it. It's just kind of like in all the PubMed articles or abstracts at least, it's like, oh, this is what happens. This is kind of some common signs. This is the kind of the common patterns. Why is it? I don't know. It's harmless though, no biggie. whatever, you know. But it's like these are such very common symptoms I see, such very like skin conditions, uh, and there's just like no kind of, I want to say like support. It's like, how do you make it better? I don't really know. This treatment kind of works, but that's about it, you know. And that's just like not very promising. It's not very nice, not a nice feeling. It's kind of like, oh, you're in the deep end. Like if you have it, um, yeah, there's just so much, like in terms of medicine and research and stuff like that, or at least in this, let's just say keratosis pilaris, there's just so much we don't know. And even when my lecturer talks about certain things which we are supposed to know, and like in the sense of microbiology and like metabolism, that's what he was talking on. That's what his lecture was on. It's like we're talking about something, let's say like relatively simple, like how glucose comes into the cell, right? And this is something which we quote unquote know. We know the mechanisms on which how cells do this, right? We know how cells take up glucose, how they eat food, pretty much. But then there's like so many question marks. There's like so much new research, and then it's like, oh, okay, but we don't actually know if this does that. It's just we think it does that because it makes sense, and like things like that. And there's just so much we actually don't know. And even like in the oceans and the aquatic space, there's so much we don't know. Space, if it's real, there's so much we don't know. Um, so yeah, because like my thoughts growing up were always like, yo, there's like nothing left to discover, bro. There's like nothing left to invent. There's like nothing left to like do, dog. That's what I was always thinking when I was like, I guess younger and up till now. I was like, yo, like Leonardo da Vinci had it so easy, bro. Like there was like we didn't like he, you know what I mean? Like none of this stuff was invented back then, so like he could like pick his nose and call it a booger, you know. Meanwhile, he was like making helicopters with like linen bed sheets, but whatever. Basically, what I'm trying to say is like there's so much research that can be done, so much new things that can be learned, so many new things that can be learned, so many things that we know that can be questioned, put to the test, uh, redefined. And then I was just asked, doesn't matter which pocket you put your phone in for the step count. I Googled that. Yes, it does. Put it in your pants pocket, short pocket, for the most accurate step count. Then mold on toothbrush, question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know about mold, but let's like bacteria, microbacteria, microorganisms. We brush our teeth. And if you leave it in the bathroom, you turn the lights off, you leave it, or there's not much ventilation, or you put it in a toiletry bag or something like that, dark, not much airflow, and moisture. That is like a breeding ground for bacteria. So what I'm thinking, what my first kind of connection was in my head was, there's a skin condition which so many people have, but it's like pretty common symptoms. Like there's got to be a pretty common string connecting all of them. And it could be water, it could be vitamin deficiencies, it could be uh I don't know, diet. And I was thinking like, oh, like we all brush our teeth, it could be the toothbrush kind of vibe. I don't know. I still have to do a lot more I still have to do research, period, um, on like mold and microbacteria going from toothbrushes. But whatever. Also, about 2 weeks ago, I started taking PEA, palmitoyl ethanolamide. I'm actually, yo, they are making an obscene amount of noise on a Saturday night for no reason, bruh. But whatever. I've been taking it after each of my meals. So some days I take about, some days it's only 600 milligrams that I take. Some days it's 1,800 milligrams that I take. On average, it's about 1.2 thousand milligrams, which I'm taking a day. And I've been feeling fine. Haven't really been noticing too much. But like I had these cold sore blisters on my fingers. It's a little bit better. It could also just be the weather getting warmer. Um, but yeah, I wrote down here that on Monday I felt amazing. It's the best I've ever felt in a really, really long time. Like it was insane how good I said I feel amazing today. We did dissections. Like the dissections went quick. My hand skin looks better. I like the day. I was like walking to the gym at 4 o'clock, and I woke up early that morning, like 5:30, to study for an early day. Work. Like, it was a pretty busy day. The day just flew by, and like in a good way. Like it was just work. Like work seemed easy. Studying felt good that morning. I could just eat my food and then enter work like flow state. I wasn't crazy hungry. My energy didn't drop because usually I eat lunch and then I feel tired and stuff. I felt fine. None of that happened. I got a slight niacin flush, after I took niacin at lunch though. I don't know. I just felt amazing that day. But then, for example, like Wednesday wasn't that great. It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't a bad day. It just wasn't amazing as Monday. Tuesday was also a little worse than Monday, but not bad. Like the jump rope warm up wasn't that good before the gym, stuff like that. But all in all, it was a pretty decent week in terms of exercise and eating and some research and learning and studying. That's been my week. There's not too much going on. I baked some sourdough today, and I've been eating the same meals every single day, and it's been working well. And that's not a bad thing to say because most people eat the same 4 to 5 meals, you know, over over a month. You kind of eat like the same 4 to 5 meals. I'm eating the same 4 to 5 meals as well. It's either like chicken breast or like beef mince or pasta and pasta or sourdough. And so either I'm making chicken sandwiches or I'm making chicken pasta or I'm making like chicken Caesar salad or I'm making um like beef pasta or I'm making like beef burgers. And I don't like putting beef in salad. That's kind of weird. And that's kind of what I'm eating. And it's like most people will look at that and be like, oh, the meal prep thing is so weird. It's so bland. It's so boring. But it's like I'm literally hitting every single satisfaction point on the head. And I'm doing what like normal people do. I have like 4 to 5 meals, but I'm doing it better because I get more satisfaction from my meals because I know what I actually need from them. And they actually fit my macros and they help me train and achieve certain fitness goals. So yeah, weird flex, but okay. That's been the video. That's been episode 11. And I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, moving forward, I'm just going to keep doing research. I've been enjoying just reading up at the end of the day, going on PubMed. I've been getting a bunch of steps in this last week, walking a lot more because the weather's been a lot better. And yeah, something else I want to just say once more is last video I mentioned like having something to do on the weekends just makes life so much better. I made this example of the Grim Reaper. Like if the Grim Reaper came to like, say, oh, Luke, bro, like, it's time to go, bro. I'd kind of ask him, or you want to be in a situation where you can kind of ask the Grim Reaper, like, okay, like I'm chill with like going, but like, can we do it next weekend? Because I kind of have something on Friday. You know what I mean? So it's like you want something to look forward to each week. That just makes life so much more bearable, enjoyable, livable. Like, you know what I mean? Tomorrow I'm going to CBD Cape Town on a sunny day for church, and then afterwards I'm going to go to a wine farm for a picnic with my friends. Akobogda. It's going to be a lovely day, hopefully. The following weekend, I have a test on Friday. Hopefully it goes well. I'm going to have cake afterwards at some French cake shop thingy with some friends of mine. Hopefully on Saturday, I'm going to go to some market in the city My friend said it's a everything market, bro. There's China from Europe, there's food, there's thrift, there's whatever you want. So hopefully we go do that. Then I have some random ball thing I have to dress up for on Saturday night. Then the following weekend, hopefully I can, I don't know, do something. Hopefully go to that Turkish restaurant. I don't know. And the following weekend I'm back home. So it's like there has to be something each week which you're looking forward to, right? Um, Same with like the meals. I kind of postpone my sweet stuff for the end of the day, like my strawberries and yogurt. I postpone that for the end of the day, so that I have something I'm looking forward to. Um, I'm okay with being a little hungrier throughout the day, as long as I know my post-workout meal, my dinner is going to be poof, nice and big. I have something to look forward to. Um, yeah, and this isn't just me saying this stuff. Like all like the productivity guys in the productivity like entrepreneurial space, like Sam Ovens, for example, and Charlie Morgan. Those are just the two guys I like. They also mention like having holidays. People work better throughout, or kids work better throughout the year if they know, yo, we're going to Fiji in December, you know. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty common concept. Maybe we just haven't heard of it yet. But that's been the video for the third time now. Me trying to wrap things up before going on my own tangent. I think I stretched this on for far too long, but who cares? I've been Luca. This has been episode 11, and you've been satisfied. But